Welcome once again to the DRH Show. Today I'm joined by a wellness expert, Gabriel Castillo. Thanks for joining me.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Well, I'm quite excited with this conversation with you, Gabriel. But let's kick this off with your background. Tell us your trajectory, and also if you could paint us a picture of your childhood and how you ended up doing what you're doing.
Oh man, it's a lot of questions in one. Okay, yeah. So hmm, I come from a great family, a loving family, um, um, a family of healers that never really knew who they were. So they dedicated their lives to help um, pull me out from where they were and to help give opportunity. Um, and during that upbringing, which was very fortunate, I had a bunch of lessons that I learned. How to get things done and be prompt from my father, and how to follow intuition and how to um, listen to your heart, if you will, from my mom. So I had a great learning experience of dancing between the worlds, if you will. And that was a solid upbringing. Um, when I went off to college, I played a lot of sports. Um, I played football in college, and I had a friend who committed suicide. And this was hmm, the breaking point for me, if you will, the point where I knew I had to do something about my life because I was living a lie, right? I wasn't being authentic, right? I was always trying to be someone or something else because I didn't accept myself. Always looking for approval from, family, um, or the people around me. Um, so that's where I hmm, started my intentional use of psychedelics, and it was recreationally. I was in a college where I was able to get my hands on it. Shout out University of Colorado, Boulder, um, and I was able to sit with myself and sit with these drugs um, in a therapeutic way. So I wasn't listening to music or going out and partying. What I was doing was sitting um, in my room, safe, secure, listening to teachers like Ram Dass or Alan Watts, Terrence McKenna. And from there, I just started to question a lot of stuff. I started to question reality. I started to question um, who I was and my place in it, and what I really wanted to do and what I should be doing. Like, what was my purpose here? Um, and that's where I hmm, didn't have any answers for any of those deep questions, but I did know that I had to do something. So I started to work on my mind. I started to understand the importance of the mind, um, meditation, mindfulness. I started to see how I was programmed. My mind was programmed by my surroundings, by what I was watching, what I was listening to, um, and that impacted me. And when you are able to admit that and to clearly see that, then you can do something about it. And that's when I was able to intentionally start reprogramming my own mind. So I took a journey to Thailand, and that's where I rendezvoused with a great master yogi and teacher, just a great soul, a true teacher, not someone who's looking to teach, but just someone who is and just teaches through example. Um, and that was Dr. Sohail Ebadi out at the Patanjali Institute. And I took some time with him. I really mastered the mind, body, soul alignment. Um, hmm, Master is a strong word. Let me say I stepped into it and got very comfortable and felt who I was, and um, became a certified yogi, um, and also stepped into hypnotherapy. And hypnotherapy was where this was the secret, the little the cement to all the bricks I was putting together throughout my journey, the hypnotherapy that I learned was the cement to holding it all together so it could create an actual foundation. And that was um, a very great time. Really reprogramming my own mind and seeing the changes, being able to catch myself when I was starting to gain momentum in the wrong way, getting anxious in traffic, that started to stop. I started to control my own mind. And as I was able to control my own mind, I was able to really become focused on what I wanted to create. And through that time, I was also working with the mushroom. Um, and the mushroom, um, hmm, it speaks, and it spoke, and it speaks through your intuition. And if you're able to follow that, it will lead you places. And that's something I have from my mom, right? She always taught to follow the intuition. And that's what unraveled this whole journey to have me be here and a, um, you know, CEO, creator of Finally Detached, where we do psychedelic therapy.
Mhm.
Um, director of a church, plant medicine church.
Well, thanks for giving us a candid account of your experience,
Yes.
Gabriel. Which actually leads me to my next question, because you mentioned earlier about your wellness journey and how you became familiar with psychedelic properties. Now,
Mhm.
I just want to bring into the conversation one particular psychedelic properties, the psilocybin. If you could just tell us how it helped individuals with unhelpful mental patterns or habits, and clearly that has been also reflected with your journey.
Absolutely. Yeah. So when working with psilocybin, it's very elusive. Okay. Um, it really depends on where you are, your mindset going into it. So your set and setting, but also your skill. So who is sitting with you and who is delivering this medicine. Also, where did it come from? Um, Intention is everything. So when working with psilocybin, you can really expect to confront your true self, confront maybe some of the darkest aspects of yourself, um, uh, confront maybe some scary things or maybe things from the past, but in a new way, in a way where you're kind of detached from it. You're not um, in it. You are more of a journeyer. So you're a perspective, an outside perspective, looking at your own mind, and you're able to really analyze these things about yourself in a gentle way. And um, as this stuff unravels, you have questions, and the questions that you have with psilocybin, it's very incredible. It answers. Um, your mind or your intuition will answer yourself instantly. So you become this knower. You become this person who is able to tune in and get the answers. So it cuts out middlemen, if you will, because a lot of people are going out seeking what's wrong with me, or what do I need to know, or this or that. Where if they just turned inwards and used some of this, these sacred medicines, these plant medicines, these just funguses that are here for us, and um, approach them with fun, like an inner child. It doesn't have to be serious. I do heavy trauma work, but sometimes the best way to approach it is just with no expectation, um, happy, in a good place, with the proper intention, wanting to respect it and wanting to get the knowledge from it that it needs to show you, right? Let it know that you're ready to work with it. Let it know that you're humbled and that you're ready to receive whatever its wisdom wants to show. And um, it's then up to you, because it becomes a choice. It's not a magic pill. Psilocybin is not a magic chemical. It does help with the brain. It helps with addiction. It helps with so much stuff. But it gives you choice. It's not going to take the choice for you. So you finally get to a place where you're so detached that these things that used to hold you back don't hold you anymore. They don't have energy to connect to you. So then you're in a place where you can think for yourself without these influences, and you can make the choice of what you want to do. And if your intention is pure, and if you really want to heal, if you really want to do the things you say you want to do, which a lot of people who start doing this work or approach it, they're ready. They tried everything, right? So if you approach it in that way, um, it's magic. Mhm.
Yeah, and it's really important to highlight in this conversation that it's not really a medicine, but it's more really of a supplement
Mhm.
to help people with their healing journey. But I was just wondering, Gabriel, why is it this kind of for lack of better word, medicine, plant medicine, back on the agenda now? I understand that there's some scientific research in these areas. If you could just share to our audience the recent studies that you've come across.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. So there's two ways to look at this plant medicine
Mhm.
space. There is the religious perspective, which has been around for the ages, which is shamanism. So this is where essentially where we come from. And then there is the clinical, which has really haven't, they acknowledge the shamanistic aspect to it now, right? Um, but it is it's taken time, and they're starting to learn how to bridge the worlds, if you will, from being so woo woo and connecting with energies to just cut and dry and sitting and just experiencing the medicine for what it is. Um, the this route will take you as deep as possible, which is the religious aspect, right? This clinical route is going to be more a little safer, right? There's nothing wrong with going deeper. So that's where these two kind of worlds may collide, because when you go deeper, you start to awaken deeper. And that can mean a lot of things. And I'll just keep it at that. Um, but for the healing aspect, um, it's just it's beautiful, and there's a space for every one in every place at every level of consciousness or every level of healing. What it's going to do for you is help you step into what you need to do and become, for you to heal, for you to get out of your own way, right? For you to have the positive thoughts, for you to think the right way, for you to attract to the right things that are actually going to be beneficial for you on your journey, and not keep you stuck. um, the trauma is real, and it's heavy. And this, I call it a medicine because for me it works. It becomes a supplement once we microdose with it, and once we microdose, then it becomes a daily supplement that you can tap into and use on your daily life. But the medicine is through the deep journeys, and when you do a deep journey correctly, you don't ever really need it again. You may be called to it because of your mind just being mm, hmm, opened in a new way. Um, but the work that it does is it helps you transcend your trauma, and it turns it into a superpower.
Now, Gabriel, you mentioned something about trauma, so I just want to focus more on that. Don't you think that people may be a bit anxious when they, considering psychedelic medicine, that it would amplify their past trauma? So, at your work at Finally Detached, how can we reassure people who are anxious about that? Do you offer some sort of medical or psychological support?
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah, absolutely. So we go through a comprehensive intake, where you are going to speak with the facilitator. You'll speak with me, um, to really get an idea of where you are, what you've done in the past. Um, how we approach this, we approach it through, we'll scan and work with individuals who aren't in a space to work with the psilocybin just yet. They may be a little too nervous, if you will. They never worked with a psychedelic. They're not in the space to really um, A lot of people who do this, they're at the end. They've tried everything. They've done SSRIs, they've been on Adderall every day. They just want to escape from the medication because they know it's always doing something else to them. And they like the idea of a holistic approach, an approach to a fungus that will help them release from everything else. And the only person that benefits is themselves. It benefits themselves, it benefits their families, it benefits so much around them. It just moves them to a creation standpoint, so they become creators instead of consumers. Right, you start to create your answers, you start to know what's good for you, instead of believing what someone says is good for you. Now this goes really deep, um, and that's why it's taken so long, for this medicine to get on the scene, if you will, if from a higher perspective. But as far as your question, if you can remind me what it was, because I kind of lost my track.
No, I was just wondering if this kind of medicine, psychedelics, could amplify sadness or trauma. So you
Yeah.
already kind of addressed this,
Mhm.
Gabriel, and I think it's really important that when you have these, trauma, sadness, and pain, and you want to experience the benefits of psychedelic, that you really check that the facilities and the interventions that um, institutions or organizations such as Finally Detached can offer.
Mhm.
And but this just leads me to another aspect of kind of people who's going to be most likely to benefit from this,
Mhm.
because you mentioned that it's not going to be for everyone.
Right.
Obviously, some people are not going to be receptive about this, but what kind of people or what sort of personality whom this kind of experience would be most beneficial? Is this going to be for younger generation? Is this going to be for older generation? Is that typical person who
Mhm.
would be most suitable for this?
That's a great question.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, there's actually just from the data of all the individuals and journeyers we've been working with, it's a wide spectrum. It's from young to older. And when I say young, it's like younger professionals, 35, right? Older to 80 years old. Wide array of psychological disorders, from addiction to just trauma, and a lot of overcoming these these obstacles, if you will, through building a relationship with this medicine, with this ally. Um, that's the whole thing. It's to approach it as in a different way, with a different intention. Um, Not to see it as a drug, but just see it as it's literally a plant. It's a fungus, and if you can build a relationship with it in a respectful, in a very adult way, um, it can be very, very beneficial. Um, and there's no middleman to it. It's there for you. So it's waiting for you to awaken to it, so you can become your own guide and your own teacher. But the people who benefit most is those who are ready and who are tired of who are tired of what they've been doing. There's nothing I can say to sell you to do this. You can only be called, and do your research, because once you do your research, you're going to find that there's something to it, and it's been around for a while. But just now, we're starting to step into the healing aspect of it. For centuries, we've already known that this heals. Um, this is more than a healing. Healing is the first step. And once you heal, then you can actually approach these medicines, um, and actually be out of the way. And when you're out of the way, you're able to receive its deeper messages. Um, and yeah, that's a true gift that um, many have the opportunity to connect with. Mhm.
Yes, I just want to follow up, Gabriel, on an important point that you raised there, because you mentioned that it's really important that people do their research. So, as a wellness entrepreneur, what was your favorite books and what resources would you recommend if people want to explore more about this?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously Netflix is great. Michael Pollan's books. Um, uh, I love Terrence McKenna. If you want to go a little deeper, um, fun entertainment aspects. Um, who else? Um, who else? Who else? I have him right here on on my head. Mushroom hat. He's my guy. Um, Paul Stamets. Paul Stamets. Paul Stamets. Research these guys. There's a lot there just with those three. Some books that I really like is I love True Hallucinations by Terrence McKenna. How to Change Your Mind, Michael Pollan. Um, yeah, those are just a few.
Well, Gabriel, this is rather a saturated industry because it's becoming popular now on plant-based medicine. So I
Mm.
was just wondering, how do you differentiate yourself in such a saturated industry? What's the unique selling point of Finally Detached?
Yeah, well, finally detached. That's a great question. Um, we don't really focus that much on the competition or on what everyone else is doing. Um, our team of facilitators have really sat down and have sat with the medicine and have really put together a protocol that um, is easy. Um, it flows for the journeyer and it's effective. And we don't like to journey with large groups. That's just one thing that's different about us. We're very intimate. We don't broadcast our journeys. This is for you. And if you do this, no one has to know you've done it. It's just deeper therapeutic work. Um, we're very hmm, we're very conscious and aware that many are interested in doing this work, but just are in a space where they can't risk anything. So we are here. We're here for those people, especially. Um, mhm.
Gabriel, you mentioned about intimacy. So is that what you mean by finally detached? A sort of being in your own bubble. Did I understand it right with what you mean by detachment with finally detached?
Yeah, detachment. So I can only speak from my story, I guess, because it will be different from anyone if you ask them what does finally detached mean to them, or if you ask our facilitators. For me, finally detached hmm, means to be finally free from what has kept you hmm, trapped, if you will. Finally detached means to be that's the best way. That's the best way to say it. Be free from yourself, the self that was constructed, that wasn't you, right? To be free, and when you finally detach from that skin, that life just becomes very very fun and easy, and nothing changes. Nothing changes. You're able to step back in with full force, and be so grounded that you're always in flow and there's never a need to rest out of it. So it's just, are you ready to become what you're meant to be? Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, let's pivot this conversation back to psychedelics. Gabriel, can you see a time when this type of therapy can become more widely available and accessible as part of what we call mainstream health package?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would like to, in a perfect world, I believe that this will be available within the next 5, 10 years. I mean, it is starting to become available right now in places like Colorado. Um, Everything's starting to be constructed. Jamaica, um, as well as other parts of the world. If you want to go the religious route, right? But yeah, I think within the next 5, 10 years, for sure, um, we'll see an upbringing of psychedelic therapy. It'll become very mainstream. You'll have a lot more sitters, um, a lot more facilitators, stuff of that nature. Yes, I can see that for sure.
And Gabriel, how do you think mental health professionals and people who are experts in psychedelics, such as yourself and the patients, how do you think they can effectively evaluate what experience and what type of plant medicine or even venue is best for their needs?
Mhm. Yeah, I think the most important thing is to co-create. So I work with many psychiatrists that actually come do work with me to experience the medicine so they can recommend it to their patients, have a standpoint. Um, and some of them are very open-minded, so they keep going deeper and deeper with this medicine, and they speak with me on how to connect and co-create because they see that they have patients that are asking about this medicine, um, and they see that they're ordering this medicine online from not trusted sources, so they're starting to feel hmm, a duty, if you will, to protect their patients. Um, so it's like I see it as a child, a parent with their kid, right? Um, the parent is going to do the best they can to protect it and tell them not to do or to stay away, but it's ultimately the kid is out and about. I mean, they're gonna do what they want to do. Of course, your protocol hopefully will um, assist them. But if they go that route, then they're human. They're going to make their own decision. You want to protect them the best you can. So the best way is to partner with um, other facilitators. I truly believe this. Other facilitators that have a relationship with the medicine that they work with and have the training, um, not only from elders, but also have some clinical background of training as a psychedelic guide, right? And who have done this work themselves, right? Because I have a bunch of people, say integration specialists, that reach out, and my first question is always like, well, what's your integration routine, and when was the last time you tripped or experienced this medicine? And when they tell me it's been 15 years, there's no way because they have no relationship with the medicine. So yeah, I'm getting a little off tangent, but um, you get the gist of what I'm saying.
Uh, Absolutely. Now, I just want to go back to doing the research, whether this is appropriate for you. Would you like to talk about the side effects of plant-based medicine?
Yeah, so there's a lot of side effects to plant-based medicines. Specifically, I can speak to psilocybin. There are no contraindications that I've come across with working with psilocybin. Obviously, you don't want to be on medications, um, especially ones that really influence the brain. You can really tell the chemical imbalances, right? As especially through intakes, we can really see which individuals are going to have a hard time receiving this medicine. Um, so, from a facilitator standpoint, you have to be very responsible, um, because it will work with everyone, right? The work can be done with everyone. There aren't contraindications. Obviously, you don't want to be pregnant. Obviously, you don't, um, want to be working with someone who has extreme suicidal thoughts, ideation, um, right? Unless they're really It really depends on who you're speaking to. That's why we keep everything intimate and very small, because I work with a lot of people that a lot of people would not work with. But I've sat on such deep journeys, and I've had this medicine and the training to really have the faith that everything will always work out, and it always does. It always does. And yeah.
Absolutely. Now, I just want to hear from you because you've been working in the wellness sector for quite some time now. So I'm just curious because we're talking about detachment. So, how do you find a work-life balance? What's your distressing outlet? Because, like myself, I run a mental health website, and to be honest with you, because I publish about 15 or 20 articles in a day, the last thing that I want to read before I go to bed is anything mental health related. Is that the case for you?
Yeah, it's funny. Well, this all came from the mushroom, right? So my journey in this whole creation is not mine. I was deep on the mushroom, and then it said do this. So maybe it was my higher self that's saying, "Hey, this is what you need to do." Um, but I was able to listen, so I just listened, and this all came about. So as far as my work life balance, I don't know if I have one. I'm just kind of always in flow. The mushroom helped tune me into flow, if that makes sense. That's what I was trying to get at. Where I when I'm hungry, I eat. When I'm tired, I sleep. When I uh, need to get stuff done, I just get up and do it. I fortunately don't have a 9 to 5. That's what the mushroom helped me escape. So I was able to finally detach from the matrix. So I was able to create my own income and my own business. So I was able to cut out the middleman. So when I flow and I'm in flow, I sometimes I'll wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, just ready to go and just receiving creations. So then I just do it because I'm no longer in the way. So I just do it. And yeah, so I just am. So I don't know if the work life balance for me is such a thing, because I'm still single, and I'm still just creating. Mhm.
Absolutely. And I think, Gabriel, the important thing here is that you listen to your body. You
Mhm.
do what you think is comfortable. And as you've said, sometimes we don't really have to fit into a certain box. So we have to get up at 6 and then have breakfast at 7 and get ready for work at 8. As I could perfectly understand that because I'm also in the same situation. I'm also self-employed and I work from home. So the idea of going to bed at a certain time doesn't also work for me. But
Right.
yeah, I understand that this being more familiar with the benefits of plant-based medicine is really helping a lot of people. And you're not just the first person that I've spoken to here at the DRH show about this
Mhm.
approach to healing journey. So yeah, I could really understand how you kind of set up your work-life balance. But Gabriel, we're already approaching towards the end of this interview, but I just want to have more time learning more about you as a person rather than as an entrepreneur and CEO of Finally Detached. So I prepared some quick fire questions for you.
Mhm.
And my first quick fire question is, what were you afraid of as a child?
Sharks. I was afraid of sharks. I always had a dream of
Mhm.
being on a big bridge and the bridge going up, and then being in a car that's trapped and falling off this big bridge into the water and just shark infested and getting eaten alive. Yeah, that was my biggest fear.
Yes. And what's your favorite word in another language?
Hmm. Swadika, Thai.
Yeah,
Mhm.
which means remind me again. I don't speak Thailand. Is it
That's a good question.
welcome?
Is it welcome? Yeah, I believe
Yeah,
welcome or hello.
welcome, of course. And if you weren't the founder and CEO of Finally Detached, what would you have pursued in life?
Ooh, ooh, that's a good question. What I've pursued. I don't know, dude. I don't even know if I would. I would be here. That's how plant medicine saved my life. Mhm.
You would probably be a healer of some sort. Maybe it's not plant based.
Mhm.
But Gabriel, I'll bring back the floor back to you. If people wanted to reach out to you, what platforms can they get in touch with you at? And if you have any upcoming project relating to Finally Detached, just let us know.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely. You can definitely find me at www.finallydetached.com.
Hmm.
That's where you can find all of our resources. If you're interested in journeys, you can just fill out the fill form. Um, Also, courses. We have a bunch of audiobooks as well that are published. My mentor published a book as well, which is really good. The Mushroom Speaks. Um, to give a fun background about the mushroom through affirmation. Um, yeah, you can find us on Instagram at guided underscore psilocybin underscore journeys, um, as well as where else? Did I say Facebook? You can find us on Facebook, definitely at Finally Detached, um, and uh, and yeah, yeah.
Thank you. For everyone who's watching, all of those information links, including the resources that Gabriel mentioned, those will be on the description box. Well, Gabriel Castillo, a wellness expert and CEO of Finally Detached, it's great to have you here on the DRH show, and I look forward to hearing more about your work.
Yeah, so grateful. Thank you for having me.